Jason Bateman has finally pulled back the curtain on one of the most private and powerful turning points of his life, the moment his decades of partying collided with reality, marriage, and the quiet but firm strength of his wife, Amanda Anka, leading to what he now calls real-life negotiations that changed everything about how he lives. For years, Jason Bateman was Hollywood's golden boy who somehow escaped the typical child star meltdown. He went from adorable sitcom favorite in the 1980s straight into adult stardom, reinventing himself with sharp comedy, dramatic roles, directing projects, and one of the most successful celebrity podcasts in the world. But behind that polished image was a lifestyle built around alcohol, drugs, late nights, and a constant edge of chaos that followed him quietly for decades. And while fans saw the success piling up, the man himself was living with a ticking clock, knowing deep down that this lifestyle had an expiration date. Bateman recently opened up in one of his most personal interviews ever, explaining that his sobriety wasn't sparked by a dramatic rock-bottom moment or some headline-making scandal. It came from repeated, honest conversations with Amanda, conversations that weren't ultimatums, but weren't comfortable either. He described how she grew tired of the unpredictability, the constant wondering of which version of her husband would walk through the door, the sober, present partner, or the party-driven Jason chasing another night out. He said she finally called it what it was: exhausting, stressful, and impossible to build a peaceful family life around. And that's where the negotiations began. Jason admitted that part of him always knew he would have to quit someday. Even while drinking heavily and using drugs, there was a voice in his head that kept saying, "This can't last forever." He talked about how he would mentally set timelines for himself, telling himself he'd slow down after this project, after this success, after this big milestone. One of those moments came when Amanda confronted him about how unsustainable things had become. He half-jokingly told her he'd be sober in about 6 months, almost like a business forecast. But then something clicked. He realized he didn't need another deadline. He didn't need another excuse. And in that moment, he decided to stop immediately. What makes this story hit harder is how calm and real it was. No screaming matches, no threats of divorce, just a woman who loved him enough to be honest, and a man who loved her enough to finally listen. Jason has since explained that while he quit alcohol and hard drugs completely, including cocaine, which he's openly admitted was part of his life for years, he considers himself California sober, meaning he still uses marijuana occasionally. That detail has sparked massive conversations online, with fans debating what sobriety really looks like in modern Hollywood. But Bateman is clear about one thing: alcohol and drugs were the forces that pushed his life out of balance, and removing them saved his marriage, his health, and his future. Looking back, Jason has reflected on how lucky he was compared to many other child stars. He's spoken about watching friends spiral into addiction, jail time, or worse. He believes the only reason he didn't hit those same devastating lows was because his career kept pulling him back just in time, giving him something to protect. But he also admits that luck eventually runs out, and that he was getting closer than he wanted to admit to serious consequences. When Arrested Development revived his career, and later projects like Ozark turned him into one of television's most respected leading men, the contrast between his professional success and personal habits became impossible to ignore. On one side was a man winning awards, directing major projects, and building a powerful brand. On the other side was someone still living like a reckless 20-something. And Amanda, who had been by his side since their early 20s, was done pretending that balance could exist. Their marriage, which began in 2001 and has lasted over 20 years in an industry where relationships rarely survive 5 years, suddenly took center stage in his transformation. Jason has credited Amanda not just as his wife, but as the person who anchored him to reality when fame made everything feel optional. He said that she never tried to control him, she simply made it clear that she wouldn't continue living in emotional chaos. Since getting sober, Jason describes his life as quieter, steadier, and more meaningful. He wakes up clear-headed, he shows up fully for his kids, his relationships are deeper, his work is more focused, and perhaps most telling of all, he says the constant anxiety he didn't even realize he was carrying vanished once alcohol left the picture. Public reaction has been overwhelming. Fans across social media have praised his honesty, calling the story refreshingly real in an industry that often glamorizes addiction or hides it entirely. Many couples have shared how his story mirrors their own experiences, the slow buildup of frustration, the tough conversations, and the moment where change finally happened, not through force, but through love and boundaries. Jason Bateman's life in the spotlight hasn't slowed down. He continues to dominate podcast charts, headline major projects, and stay at the center of pop culture conversations, sometimes even facing backlash over comments he makes in interviews. But through it all, sobriety has become the foundation that holds everything else together. What stands out most is that this isn't a story about a celebrity hitting rock bottom and crawling back. It's about a man recognizing that success means nothing if the people you love are quietly suffering beside you. It's about a marriage strong enough to survive hard truths. And it's about choosing growth before disaster forces your hand. Jason Bateman didn't quit because Hollywood demanded it. He didn't quit because of a scandal. He quit because the woman he loved told him the truth, and he finally decided to become the man she deserved. And in a world where celebrity relationships crash and burn daily, that might be the most powerful plot twist of all. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.